I love reading. I really do. To me, it is just like one of my great time for myself sort of joys. And, I love being able to find a new author or a book series or like to pick up something and be like, wow, how did I not know about this before? Like for me, reading is just sort of as important as breathing in a way. And I know for me that is actually something that I really want for my girls, that reading isn't just like, ugh, I have to read. But it becomes something like they want to read, that they can't wait to get to the next chapter or an opportunity to read. Well, one of the ways that we can really engage our children in that is by using living books. Have you heard about that? It's a great term, and that's what I want to talk about today as we look at using living books, whether we're homeschooling or enriching our children in their reading outside of school. Hi, and welcome to Learning Life, and thank you so much for joining me today as we talk about one of my favorite topics, books, which we sort of then tie in with education, which is also something that I really love talking about. Really to me, I just love it when I can sort of help and bring some of this like information because, it can be hard sometimes trying to find the right books for our kids, especially if we're homeschooling, or maybe we've seen like a challenge like with our kids and they're like not enjoying reading. How can I enrich them like outside of school hours? And so, there's not too many people that just, maybe want to read textbooks for fun. I might. But there are, people that do want to read and understand how it is important to us. And we can have that challenge. Well, what if it didn't have to be so challenging? What if there was like this one key thing that we could look for when it comes to like helping our children love to learn? Well, that would be living books. Okay. And so, this is also why I'm bringing these videos, because I want to help you. Like today, I want to help you with living books. I have other topics as I look at like parenting and other things with education. And so thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your likes and for your subscribes and for your comments. Do you know this term, living books? Well, it was coined, maybe not coined, but championed, advocated by Charlotte Mason, who is an educator, an amazing lady from the turn of the 20th century. I love Charlotte Mason's philosophy of education, so much so that I incorporate a fair bit of it into our homeschooling. I also did do a video on that Charlotte Mason philosophy, so if you're not sure, just check it out. She really believed that the child is a person and we should actually educate the whole person and not just the mind. She got it. And she really loved living books. And she was always talking to people about living books. And these are the books that you should read. They are living books. And people are like, What are living books? Yes, I am going to cover that because you know what? It's actually easy. Charlotte Mason describes them as whole books, first-hand sources, classics, books that display imagination, originality, and they have like this human touch to them. We think of living books as being engaging, often conversational, and inspiring for the imagination. Ultimately, books that really engage us. Key points about living books. So you might be wondering, how do I really know, what makes up like a living book? You say it's engaging. You say it's this. Okay, so they're often written in that narrative style, okay, telling a story. Both fiction, which we know is a story, and nonfiction. Yes, our nonfiction books don't just have to be all facts. Even if we love facts, and facts are amazing and we need to have them. So when we're looking at even our nonfiction, there's more like a narrative. They are written by somebody who is passionate about the topic. Especially when it comes to like our sort of textbook style, our nonfiction, they really know their stuff and you feel that heart coming out. It's got that human touch. Now, the language is also rich and not dumbed down. Now, we have that problem with some books, and especially like for children's books, we think, they're not going to understand the language. No, children need rich language. And so living books have this rich language because as our children are hearing it, it will make them better writers. It will make them better in conversation. Now, I'm not talking about like the simple books that address like colors and numbers and shapes and all of that for very young children. We need those. But as they grow, we can't stay in very simple sentence structures. We have to increase our vocabulary, understand the richness of it. And so we want rich language. We don't want it to be dumbed down. The characters in living books are dynamic. And by that, I mean, like we can really sort of engage in them, imagine them. To me, like a good test of like a book when we really engage with that character and then they want to make it into a movie and we're all up in arms because no, that's not what they look like. That's not how they sound. They wouldn't be doing that because we have so connected with this character because they are truly dynamic. And that is a wonderful thing. Especially in our nonfiction, it should also present ideas and not just facts. And like, I'm not just saying like opinions and like, well, we thought about this. No, but here is an idea. Like this is the central idea supported by these beautiful facts that enable us to think through it and maybe have discussions and maybe like then want to know more about it and create like this rich source because when we have an idea supported by facts, we're really going to learn. Living books are great for read alouds. I love to read aloud to my girls, though they always like to do it right when I'm like eating. I'm like, let me eat first. So read alouds are wonderful and we should be reading aloud to our children. Even if they start being able to read chapter books on their own, don't stop. Okay. They need to have read alouds, or if you don't want to read aloud, of course, use something like Audible or whatever, a recorded book so that they can be hearing it. Living books are going to transport us in. We're going to get sucked in. Have you ever had that? Like you don't want the book to end and you also realize that it's 2:00 in the morning and you really should go to sleep, but you just have to know. Okay. That's a great living book because we want to read them. And, our children should want to read these living books because we want them to connect and to have all of these beautiful things. Now, I could give you long lists of examples of living books. I'll give a few now and I'll have more on the website. But here are just some examples, like Paddington Bear, great one. The Very Hungry Caterpillar. Pippi Longstocking. My girls love her, but we read her in German, so Pippi Longstrumpf. The Just So stories, one that I remember from 4th grade, like way back last century, Sudoku and the 1,000 Paper Cranes. So many great books that engage us. And remember that you absolutely can and should use novels when looking at history, science, social studies. Okay? We shouldn't just be thinking, well, novels are for English. No, if we're really going to incorporate it, we need to know, like Sudoku and the 1,000 Paper Cranes, you learn about the history, you learn about culture. Novels are so great for this. So don't just sort of think those subjects need more textbooks. They need the richness of these living books and these novels. What living books are not? Very easy. They are not textbooks. They're not workbooks. And they're not just storybooks. Okay? I'm not dissing textbooks. I see a place for them. But how many of us can really sort of sit back and go, I really enjoyed that textbook. I got to the end and I thought, what a great read. Don't really do that, do we? So that's not a living book. Yes, it has facts. Facts are important. We need to know facts to help us to present our ideas. Okay, but we can make it alive. We can make it more of a narrative. You know what? Workbooks aren't really alive. We're doing stuff. There's also a place for them. Totally not dissing them, but they're not living books. And quite frankly, not all storybooks are living books. There are some that I'm like, I really don't know how you got published. And I get it. Like everybody has an idea and, we can self-publish. And there are some amazing self-published books out there. And there are some amazing books that have stood the test of time, and we're still reading them 100 years later. But there are just some that we'll just put that over there. So living books are not static and dry. and dull. Okay? Why would you want to use living books? I don't know about you, but whether homeschooling or really wanting to enrich our children in their reading outside of school, we should want to use living books. Why? Because they're engaging. They're firing up imagination. They're transporting our children to other time or places. This is wonderful. And hopefully in that is instilling a love of learning. I know I want that for my girls. The other thing I want for them is something that I experience a fair bit when I get to the end of a book. I sort of have book hangover. I go through that morning that I have finished reading it and it is done. But sometimes I'm just there and I'm going to sit and just think about this for a while. Especially if I'm reading books based around World War II. I have to process them. I want this for my girls that, they get sad about leaving book world, or that they get sad they finished a book for the first time and they'll never have that first time reading the book opportunity again. I want that love of learning for them. And one of the things that I can do for that is make sure that I am providing them living books that are just rich and imaginative and engaging. So that's why we should be wanting to use them. We want our children to love to learn. We want this for them, right? Right. So thank you so much for watching today. Don't forget to check out my website. I will have other examples of living books for you there, even some that cover, some of the subjects like history, science, social studies. Thank you for watching and being part of this community. And if you want to help get these videos out, you can. And you can do that by being a champion. And you can check that out at patreon.com or through my website, LearningThis.Life.